Satellite images don't glitch for 14 straight years in the exact same rectangle, unless someone needs that rectangle to stay hidden. And yet, from 2001 to 2015, a narrow band of Antarctica kept vanishing from public satellite views. The same coordinates, the same shape, the same precise blackout. They called it a compression error. But compression errors don't have boundaries so sharp, they look like a doorway, and they don't target the most unexplored region on Earth. A region sitting above an impossible heat source, beneath miles of shifting ice, and inside a continent humans are forbidden to freely explore. This is the story of the lost world buried under Antarctica. Not a myth, not a conspiracy, but a series of scientific anomalies that point to one conclusion. Something existed here before the ice. Antarctica is the most mysterious continent on Earth because it breaks too many rules. It's the size of the United States and Mexico combined, yet over 98% of it has never been seen by human eyes. People say that's because it's empty, but emptiness doesn't require secrecy. Emptiness doesn't require no-fly zones, GPS scrambling, and restricted valleys. Emptiness doesn't explain why multiple nations signed a treaty to keep the entire continent closed off indefinitely. And emptiness doesn't explain why ancient maps drawn before the invention of telescopes accurately show a version of Antarctica without ice. Something existed here long before we arrived, and the further we look into the ice, the more the past begins to speak. The story begins with heat. Antarctica shouldn't have any. Yet beneath the ice is a geothermal anomaly, so powerful it melts the bottom of the ice sheet from below. Scientists say it's volcanic activity, but volcanic heat leaves signatures we can track. This heat doesn't. It's diffuse, gentle, evenly spread. It behaves less like a volcano and more like a radiant structure, a heat pattern that resembles energy flowing through a grid. And it sits directly below one of the most mysterious regions on the continent, an area where the ice thins, the ground rises, and the satellite glitches begin. Some researchers believe the heat comes from natural processes. Others quietly admit they don't know. But ancient civilizations didn't build their cities in random places. They built near warmth, near resources, near energy. If a civilization existed before Antarctica froze, this is exactly where it would be. The freezing of Antarctica is one of Earth's greatest unsolved events. At some point in the past, the entire continent went from mild, green, and temperate to locked under 2 miles of ice. Not over millions of years, but potentially much faster. Ice cores show sudden spikes in temperature, sudden drops, sudden rises. Something catastrophic happened here, something global. And whatever was living on this land had almost no chance to escape. Yet hints of what once existed still rise through the ice. In 2012, a team of researchers studying the Ellsworth Mountains noticed something impossible. 3 perfect triangular peaks rising above the ice, aligned in a formation so precise it sparked a worldwide debate. Photographs show mountains, but mountains rarely form perfect geometry. They rarely sit in near equilateral spacing, and they rarely mirror ancient structures built thousands of miles away. The formations became known as the Antarctic Pyramids. Some dismissed them as coincidence, but coincidence usually collapses under scale. This didn't. Radar scans showed unusual internal density, a shape within a shape, layers that looked less like natural rock and more like construction something built, then buried, then frozen in time. The scientific teams studying the formations changed their language after the first public wave of interest. What they once called geometric and unusual quickly became normal mountains with interesting symmetry, a safe phrase, a simple phrase. But the data never changed. The next anomaly came from an older source, the Piri race map, drawn in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral using ancient reference charts. he said came from civilizations older than Greece, older than Egypt, older than known history. The map shows Antarctica as a warm, ice-free continent with rivers, mountains, and an exposed coastline. Critics argued that the map maker simply guessed, but later surveys showed the coastal outline is accurate. So accurate it aligns with modern mapping of the bedrock beneath the ice. That level of precision wasn't possible in 1513, yet the map exists. If Antarctica was once ice-free, then civilizations living at that time could have mapped it. The question is, who were they, and how advanced were they? The next clue buried beneath the ice is Lake Vostok, a body of water sealed off from the world for millions of years. Yet when scientists drilled into it, they found temperatures far hotter than expected. They found organisms that didn't match known families, and they found pressure changes that forced them to halt the expedition without public explanation. For 2 days, the research team fell silent. When they emerged, they offered a simple statement: "We found nothing unusual." And then they left. The details of what happened at Lake Vostok remain unclear, but reports from those familiar with the operation say the pressure spike was sudden, violent, and unpredictable. Something beneath the ice responded to the intrusion. The deeper story of Antarctica takes us to 1946, when the largest military expedition ever sent to the continent launched with almost no public explanation. Operation High Jump. 4,700 men, dozens of aircraft, battleships, carriers, resources that made no sense for a simple mapping mission. The operation was supposed to last 6 months. Instead, it ended in 6 weeks, officially because of weather, unofficially because something happened. Something that caused Admiral Richard Byrd to make a strange statement afterward. The world must prepare for the possibility of an enemy that can fly from pole to pole with incredible speed. That sentence created decades of speculation, but the real mystery isn't the quote, it's the silence that followed. After Operation High Jump, Antarctica was suddenly locked down by an international treaty, a treaty that forbids territorial claims, industrial exploration, and unrestricted travel. A treaty that says no one owns Antarctica, but also says no one can freely explore it. You can visit guided zones near the coast, but the interior, the warm valleys, the mountain formations, the deep ice rivers, are restricted, some areas outright forbidden, not because they're dangerous, but because they're protected. From what? And for whom? In the 1970s, a U.S. geologist studying magnetic anomalies in Antarctica found a region where the readings behaved unlike anything else on Earth. Instead of following natural magnetic patterns, the field was redirected like something massive and metallic sat beneath the ice, something structured, something shaped. The anomaly was dismissed as a geological curiosity, but the geologist noted that such readings typically indicate ancient structures, buried underground cities, temples, fortresses, except this one was hundreds of times larger. Seismic studies in the same region later revealed straight-line interruptions beneath the ice. Perfect angles, perfect corridors, not natural formations, more like the ruins of something engineered, now entombed. The idea of a lost civilization under Antarctica may sound impossible. But what if it's simply forgotten, erased by time, buried by climate, hidden by the natural violence of planet Earth? We know ancient civilizations existed long before our textbooks admit. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey is over 12,000 years old, twice as old as Stonehenge, built with stonework that should have been impossible for hunter-gatherers. The pyramids of Egypt show mathematical precision and astronomical knowledge we still can't fully explain. The ruins beneath Lake Titicaca show cities submerged by sudden cataclysm. If civilizations that advanced existed earlier than believed, then one existing in ancient Antarctica isn't just possible. It's likely. Ice-penetrating radar studies in the last decade revealed structures beneath the ice sheet, massive dome-like regions, rectangular voids, sharp corners. Some resemble foundations, others resemble walls. One region in particular shows a perfect hexagonal pattern stretching miles. Scientists call them polygonal ice formations. But polygonal ice doesn't form in perfect alignment over a continent that shouldn't even have ice that thick. Something lies beneath, shaping the ice above it. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence came from ESA satellite surveys. Among the natural folds and fractures of the ice sheet, researchers noticed straight lines, lines running for kilometers, matching the orientation of the magnetic anomaly beneath. Nature doesn't draw straight lines. Nature doesn't organize patterns across geological scales. Yet there they are, straight, silent markers of something waiting below. The deeper ice cores reveal ancient pollen, signs of forests, signs of warm climates. They reveal rapid climate swings. They reveal that Antarctica wasn't always a frozen wasteland. It was once alive, teeming, green, habitable. And if it was habitable, it was likely inhabited. Ancient legends from around the world speak of a southern land destroyed by a great cold. Early cultures in South America, Polynesia, and even Africa talk about travelers from a distant icy continent, an echo of people fleeing a dying world. No one took these legends seriously. Until now. One of the strangest discoveries came from beneath the Ross Ice Shelf, where sonar detected symmetrical step-like terraces descending into a valley now filled with ice. Not geological terraces, architectural terraces. As if a massive structure, perhaps a complex, a temple, a platform, was swallowed by ice and frozen in place. Scientists are cautious. They avoid language that implies intelligence or design. But the raw data is hard to ignore. And then there's the silence from certain expeditions teams that started their research with enthusiasm, shared early findings, then abruptly went quiet. Websites deleted, papers withdrawn, interviews canceled. Not because the discoveries were dangerous, but because they opened doors to questions science isn't ready to face. What kind of civilization existed here? How advanced were they? Where did they go? And why does the ice conceal so much of their story? One theory suggests a society that thrived during Earth's warm period, long before the last great freeze. A maritime culture, a scientific culture, one capable of mapping coastlines, building structures aligned with the Earth's magnetic field, and harnessing geothermal heat beneath the continent. A civilization whose cities were swallowed far faster than expected. Another theory suggests they adapted by moving underground, into the warm caverns created by geothermal vents. These caverns still exist today, forming vast underground networks beneath the ice. Some are as warm as 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Some are filled with breathable air. Others contain microbial ecosystems unlike anything else on Earth. If a civilization sought refuge, this is where they would have survived, hidden from the surface, preserved by time. The satellite glitch rectangle sits above one of these cavern systems. Its shape is too clean, too geometric, too deliberate, and it aligns perfectly with the seismic patterns hinting at structures below. The glitch has been explained away countless times, but the explanations never address the precision, never address the repetition, never address why this region, out of all of Antarctica, was the only one affected. Some researchers quietly believe the rectangle hides an opening, a collapse, a ruin, something too revealing for public view, something that would rewrite history. But if a civilization existed in Antarctica, what caused its downfall? The sudden freezing of the continent points to a catastrophic shift in Earth's axis, or a rapid change in climate triggered by cosmic or geological forces. Ancient myths speak of a great tilting. Ice cores show dramatic spikes. Whatever happened, it was violent and global, and Antarctica paid the highest price. Cataclysms bury, they erase, they silence. But they don't destroy everything. Echoes remain, structures survive, heat patterns endure. Geometric formations rise through ice like ghosts of the past. If a civilization was here, its story may be the greatest unsolved mystery on Earth, a chapter of humanity, or perhaps pre-humanity lost beneath 2 miles of ice. Every anomaly in Antarctica points to the same conclusion. The geothermal grid, the magnetic readings, the straight lines beneath the ice, the pyramid formations, the ancient maps, the satellite blackout, the sudden end of Operation High Jump, the restricted valleys, the perfect terraces, the seismic voids, the drill that brought up organisms no one could classify, the silence that followed. Even today, expeditions are closely monitored, tourist paths are restricted, drone flights are limited, GPS signals distort. Some areas are blocked without explanation. Scientists studying certain regions are given narrow windows and tight oversight, not because Antarctica is dangerous, but because it holds history that is too powerful, too old, too disruptive for simple answers. What lived here didn't vanish. It was entombed, preserved, hidden in plain sight beneath a continent we're told is nothing but ice. But ice is not empty. Ice is a vault, and vaults are built to protect something. As the ice melts and new technologies peer deeper into the frozen continent, the truth grows harder to ignore. We aren't discovering anomalies. We're rediscovering a world that existed long before ours, a world that shaped early maps, a world that left behind structures, a world that survived long enough to record its knowledge somewhere we still haven't reached. The question isn't whether Antarctica holds the remains of a lost civilization. The question is why the story stayed hidden for so long, and what will happen when the ice finally gives it back. Maybe Antarctica isn't the end of the world. Maybe it's the beginning. A frozen library waiting to be opened. A message from a forgotten people. A chapter of human history sealed away until we're ready to understand it. Or perhaps we are not the first civilization to rise on Earth. We are simply the first to uncover the last one's tomb. And when the ice cracks, when the data is undeniable, when the sun finally reveals what lies beneath, the world will have to face a truth buried for tens of thousands of years. We did not build the first cities. We did not create the first science. We did not write the first chapter. We are merely the first to return. Because Antarctica was not always ice. It was a home, a cradle, a civilization, a world swallowed by time. And now, after an eternity of silence, it is beginning to speak again.